In the meantime, the IMF says Venezuela's inflation could hit 1.37 million%. I don't know what the hell that means. It just sounds scary. Joining us now, Mary Anastasia O'Grady, a columnist for the Wall Street Journal. You know, the numbers are just now mind-boggling, right? These percentages. We've seen the images of the shelves. We know about the weight loss of the average person. We know people waiting in line for toilet paper. But it's becoming a humanitarian disaster now, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's kind of funny that the IMF is upping it to, you know, something higher. I mean, after you get to 1 million% inflation, like, why bother? But this is what happens when you basically use monetary mechanisms to finance the fiscal deficit. And normally, you know, in democracies, you have a mechanism, a political mechanism that would demand some kind of improvement to the management of the economy. But since this is a dictatorship and the Venezuelan government has made it clear they don't care how many people flee the country, the more that leave, the better, because they're basically want to, you know, the Cubans have hold of Venezuela. They want to keep that territory and they want to keep control of the oil, what's left of it. So if the country empties out, that's just perfectly fine. Yeah, but I mean, they could barely drill this oil, right? They chased out all of the multinationals. They had the expertise, and now, despite the wealth they're sitting on, they can't hardly extract it out of the ground. Yeah, they have damaged the human capital, but, you know, they still have China that's trying to help them recover. And I think that they're betting on a return to $100 oil prices at one point. You think I could use the quote symbols when we say China helping them extract the oil? Exactly. Now, the humanitarian crisis, they're fleeing to these different countries. One is Brazil. We just had the first round of elections. It's apparent that they're going to elect a strong man, for lack of a better term. Maybe that's the wrong way to describe him, but certainly far-right, law and order kind of guy. It feels like the kind of elections we've seen around the world. What's the implications of that? Well, first of all, I think it's a little overstated to call him a strongman. I mean, he has had a lot of rhetoric in favoring the military government and favoring the military. But the reason why Brazil did not become Venezuela under Lula is because it has better institutions than Venezuela had. Don't forget that in Venezuela, all of the economy was concentrated in the oil company. Sure. And Brazil has a much more diversified economy, and so that therefore power is more diversified. And as I say, the institutions held up, including the press. So I think that this guy will, the reason why this guy is popular is not as much for his policies as because he's considered the antidote to the Workers' Party that Lula and Dilma were. So the pendulum swings all the way from the socialists back to what? Again, I think that's an exaggeration of what will happen. I think that he will try, basically he's got a very free market economic advisor, and what people are hoping for is a more liberal economic plan that will allow, for example, the privatization, not of Petrobras, no one's expecting that, but of some of the subsidiaries, and more fiscal restraint, because they really, again, they went crazy on the fiscal side, and then they tried to monetize the problem, and that's why they got back into the inflation
we know about
problem.
The BRICS. The BRICS are going to take over the world. They all kind of ran into some issues, including Brazil. Maybe they'll get it back on track. Thank you very much.
Okay, sure.
Always appreciate it.